Now we want to test the Slalom here, Sport mode, but now here you can set it here from DSC on to DSC Sport. DSC off comes later. This will be next step for most fun, but now ESC Sport to see how much does the car allow then and how does it behave in the slalom. So then here, let's see. So I can push it with the throttle a little bit around these cones, so that's possible, but it's still being caught if it's getting too much out of hand. You see, I can be a little bit sportier, give it a little push then here around. So I wouldn't say it's faster, but it's more fun. And also here, for example, I can extend it a little bit more. I can do some drifting left and right. And that's very controllable. You can see I just let the car move itself, but if I would go over the top, the car is catching itself again. So, and I mean, it looks also more spectacular from the exterior, but it feels so smooth on the inside. So by that, it has a long wheelbase already. All these electric wheels have quite long wheelbases, but it feels like a car with short wheelbase by that. And even if I'm, going here, for example, now on standstill, I can really throw it around, even already with the ESC Sport. What I feel here is, once again, that I can do everything I want to do with the car in a very precise way. And this, again, leads over to the connection of the previous generation 3 Series, where I especially criticized the steering feel. And now I have to say that the steering is more precise in a way of that the previous generation 3 Series was a little bit vague in this area, and then it was too much in this area. And here they have a more progressive setup here now. The steering is also a little bit more progressive, more direct in comparison to the iX3. It is still light because they want to still have this feeling, hey, heavy electric vehicle should feel light by light steering. You can of course adjust it once again in the sport mode or in the individual mode. Here finally now we also have the possibility not to put everything in sport, but only put the steering to sport. That is also very important. But what I can feel here now is that I have a little bit more resistance in the steering. I would probably then choose the little bit harder resistance in the steering. It's still somewhat light, but it is predictable. That's to me the most important thing, that you know actually what you're doing. Now we want to have some fun, no more logic and so on, no more safety. So we go to DSC off. I'm still in the sport mode as well. And well, so far the car has kept me on track and everything. Let's see what it does right now. Let's see if Leah is also ready to record from the outside, and let's go. Yeah, and see here, now we can just turn it around like we want. Yeah, there you see, like, this is like the massive difference. But the thing is here, I can even do that here very slowly, in a very smooth way. And without, the car doing totally crazy stuff. This is really like very low speeds, so yeah, and it always looks very cool from the outside. And there you can see this massive difference it just has, like when you have the ESC off now in comparison to when the systems are all on. But at the same time, it's not that the car gets totally uncontrollable. This was also my first impression, that it really feels smaller than it actually is. It's not a small car, but you can still control it in a very smooth and agile way. And also when we try to hold the drift a little bit longer in a fast way here in this circle, you can really play with it all-wheel drive and let the car do its thing. So you can finely adjust with steering and braking and the throttle. That's always the good thing, of course, when you have like an all-wheel drive car, that you can really hold the drift right here. And this is just ESC off, and the cool thing is, I have never driven this car on snow and ice before. I do have some practice with, some other vehicles, but you always have to find a fine line, with every car, how it behaves on snow and ice. And here you immediately get into the groove for the vehicle, and you get a feeling for what the car is doing, even if the systems are all off. And this is not an easy thing to do with all vehicles, that you can actually hold a drift in a very long way. I'm here now already quite good speed, and just holding that, and I'm astonished how easy it is. The car has a lot of power, and yeah, this is amazing. All the systems then are off, but look at that. Can't believe that. What the hell? This is, yeah. This must be looking really great from the outside now as well. And I mean, this is just live on camera. I've not practiced this before, like at all. And this is astonishing. I mean, I could do this with the Golf R maybe after I've driven it for a couple of hours, you know. Wow. Wow. Yeah, I can just say this is like so great to control. And now what's even more important maybe, we have this countryside road situation where we also have some topography changes and maybe also some bumps in the road. So before we were on the ice lake, on the frozen lake. Now the surface is not ice, it's just snow, and underneath there's just earth. That's it. And this is of course a little bit different. So on the ice lake you have less grip, you know, tendency. But here, of course, when it's snow, like, and when it's like packed, you know, and you drive over it and over it and over it. In front of us, by the way, M3 Touring, always nice to see as well. Yeah, so it's also slippery, but we're driving also in this, let's say, normal customer mode, personal ESC on, and you also feel that it's a little bit rougher here from the surface because the ice lake is, you know, mostly slick and even. But here, it's of course important to experience more about the suspension. And we have the 19-inch wheels here. I mean, for winter time, it's actually a good idea to get some more comfort in, and also for efficiency, it's also good to have smaller tires and so on. And remember, this is the base suspension. So we have these hydraulic cushions, but it won't change with the driving mode because this is not the adaptive suspension which we expect at the later stage. And it is definitely bumpier than on the ice track. And of course, you have to think about that, like the top layer of the snow is smooth and looks nice. But these lanes here on the road, they are actually already hard pack. And then you also feel what's going underneath. And something I do feel here is that the overall setup here of the i3 is sportier if you compare it to the iX3. So you sit lower, as I said before. But also from suspension setup, I feel that, you know, they wanted to go more in the direction of 3 Series, and that it also feels less SUV-alike, and that's actually also the case here. And what we also want to do is here, we're on this steep uphill now, snow terrain, not on the ice lake again, but here just earth beneath that, but they are packed snow basically. So I just stopped in this uphill area, and now I slowly start. Let's see what happens. Super controlled. Really easy. Yeah, no problem at all with this all-wheel drive. So in full acceleration, it would be up to 2/3 in the rear, 1/3 in the front from the power of the engines, but it always, you know, is variable where you need it. And then same thing again, but I really just throw it out. See here, struggling a little bit, and off we go. So here, the car really had to work. It's different when you like hold it steady, but you see here, no matter what you do, if you, in this case, slowly starting would be actually more efficient, better. But even if you would be, you know, just hammering it through, it would still work. And even more interesting, actually, when we go downhill now again, because you might have seen this with our iX3 coverage of the assistance systems and how smooth they rule, you know, but also just when you start and stop, not only in the assistance systems, but also when you do it yourself, which is in most cases done by recuperation. Everything is super smooth, and the most thing you feel here when I'm letting it roll downhill, and now I'm on the brake, and I go to the standstill slowly. Let's see, this is easy, and now I'm stopping, but you hardly feel that the vehicle has stopped. That's really crazy, especially when you do it really slowly, and then you don't have this moment. This is crazy, right? Because usually you know it from any car out there, that when you stop, you even like 2-3 kilometers now, and then you're on the brake, and then the last bit from really like from 1 or 2 kilometers now to 0, you always make this blop, blop. That always happens with every single car out there, and this is the first car where this doesn't happen. So it's really like, you know, like as you would move a car like with your own hand and just let it stand still. But here's like, it doesn't make this hop. It just stops, but you can hardly feel it when it does that. And why is it possible? It's possible because the motors, the electric motors, they can recuperate also at very, very slow speeds until 0, because I'm doing that with my brake pedal, but the car is doing that with recuperation. And here again, even if it's super slippery here, I mean, this was like maybe a little bit slip, but it's always, you know, this is like the most extreme situation. When you would have dry asphalt, there would be nothing from this, you know. But even here, when it's super slippery, it still works that you can very smoothly go again and also come to stop even when going downhill. So this is also one of the reasons we are here, because these are the most extreme situations for these systems, basically. And then they will work even better in the dry conditions, so to speak. But yeah, this smoothness of the stopping is really crazy.